Alright, everyone, welcome back. We're gonna be going over the Helminth today. So, first thing, spoilers. Get that out early. If you have not done either the Heart of Deimos quest or, it's not Necros, it's, oh, come on, brain, work. Nidus. If you haven't done Nidus's quest, then the Helminth room is little more than the chair, and when you go up to it, it'll ask if you want to remove assist. However, if you have done those quests and you've gotten the ability to access your Helminth through the Helminth adapter piece, it's Metamorphosis something. You get it from Sun. You get all of the Helminth adaptory things from Sun. Alright, so future me here. I forgot about the other helmet segment you need, which you get from Bird 3 in the Sanctum Anatomica in order to do more shiny things with Archon shards. Again, not necessarily an early user kind of thing. It's a little bit down the line, a lot of quests down the line, but I remembered and, wanted to be honest about the fact that I forgot. So, anyway, back to the video in Deimos. So, but anyway, having gotten them, one, you get to name yours. Mine's named Queen Kerrigan because I played a ton of StarCraft when I was in my teens. And I love the original StarCraft games. Not as big of a fan of the later ones, but, to each their own. So with the helmet, there's a couple of different things you can do as other things have been released. One of the first things is the Metamorphosis tree that it has, which you start with having 3 subsume slots. Subsuming a Warframe involves feeding a normal, non-prime Warframe to the helmet, in which case you get whatever signature ability that Warframe has to be able to be passed on and subsumed onto other Warframes. And the way you level up, obviously there are a bunch of different metamorphoses, the way you level that up is through 3 ways. 3? Yeah, 3. So there is subsuming Warframes, feeding your helmets, which a bunch of different stuff you can feed them, different quantities, things like that. And then the last one is subsuming abilities onto Warframes. Now, you're limited in the first Metamorphosis to just 3 subsume slots, and you don't get more until the 4th Metamorphosis. So you only have 3 abilities you can really look for to kind of jumpstart that outside of feeding Kerrigan, or feeding your Helminth. I'm just going to refer to it as Kerrigan because that's what mine's called. Simple enough, right? So, you have feeding, which you can do, but as soon as you saw the counters, as soon as you max these out, you can't feed her anymore. And also, you can't keep feeding your helmet the same things. The reason green triangles mean it's something that they want to eat. I think green is on most everything in here at the moment. So green triangles, they want to eat it. Nothing, they don't really care either way. Red triangles means they're done. They don't want any more of that resource. So those are the various ways that works. So, but some of the easier to acquire ones to do is like Rhino's Roar. Super, super useful ability. One of your starting 3, honestly. Another one that is really popular, if overused in some builds and things, is Gloom from Sevagoth. A little bit harder to get Sevagoth in the early game, so it's not necessarily a great one. And then Pillage is also one that I've seen a lot of people like to use for a variety of builds. And so the important thing about those three is that they have a lot of use cases. There are a lot of frames that having the survivability of gloom or pillage added to them is just great. Like it's a net positive and works well. Whereas roar is one of the best buffing skills. So it makes sense to use it. Like there are a ton of good abilities, breach surge, decoy. Like dispensary is um, another popular one, which you can get from Protea. So that's kind of just your first three. Generally, though, you want to pick for the Warframes you're assuming you want to pick ones that have multi uses because you're going to need to infuse abilities into a lot of Warframes, and if you don't want to just spray and pray essentially, just infuse a bunch of them just to get to that metamorphosis level, then you're going to need to be a little strategic about which ones you choose. Generally, by this point, also, like I have a lot of resources to feed my Helminth. If you're unlocking, doing the hard damage quest before MR10, you probably don't have a lot of resources necessary to be spending willy nilly also pursuing. However, one of the coolest abilities that you can get for a lot of stealth frame and like hacking builds is from the third metamorphosis, perspicacity. Probably saying that wrong. Anyway, which when it's max leveled, automatically succeed at your next hack attempt, and you can get it down to like 6 energy a cast. Super good for making an auto hack build for like running sorties or for running Archon hunts. If you really don't like the new war hacking system, which I don't like at all, so it's helpful for me on that. It's just a nice toolkitty one, and then there's one more that is really good. Unlimited, you get Unbound Subsume at the 10th Metamorphosis, which lets you subsume whatever you want. So, and then the Golden Instinct is one that you can use. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's basically for just finding Iatan sculptures, medallions, treasures, rare stuff, that kind of stuff. It's maybe if like you're trying to hunt down that last fragment to complete your codex or something like that. It doesn't have a lot of use cases. It's just kind of a cool toolkitty thing. Which there's also some other things that do similar things. So, or having a super tricked out enemy and loot radar will also work to do with that. Anyway, okay. So the other part of the regular Helminth is invigorations, which last for 7 days. So you can do them at any point during the week. You have however long in your week to do them, and then they last for 7 days after the point that you do it. And so you're given 3 options, for Warframes that do different things. And then on the 10th invigoration you can pick whichever one of these you want and apply it to whatever Warframe you want. So that's kind of cool, and can be pretty power scaly. Like maybe if you're trying to build to do a certain event, quest, thing, whatever, build up your invigorations and then just use it. So it's kind of a cool thing. Use it, don't use it. Invigorations also cost resources, so when you get the ability to invigorate, that's also another way you can keep leveling up your Helminth in order to unlock everything and have space. So the other thing, that if you haven't completed the new war, I have no idea if you can use this section. I imagine not. However, DE has made Warframe with miles of spaghetti code, and things break. That's why there are weekly dev streams talking about the things that they've broken and how they fixed it. So, if you've completed the new war, you'll have access to Archon shards. There are now myriad ways to get Archon shards. There weren't when it first came out, but now there are, which is really nice. But anyway, you can access Archon shards, which are essentially just another way to modify your Warframe to do certain things. For my Saren, I have her tricked out with armor and health, and I can probably upgrade to Tau Forge ones, which are just better shards. Simply put, they're better shards. And then I get energy on filled on spawn. Yeah, so Archon shards are a way to tee up your build to that next level. Again, this is for not really early game stuff, but might as well explain it while we're here. And it's useful for, my build does great up to level XYZ, and this is essentially to help you take it from Y to Z. Just push that last little extra bit, maybe. Squeeze that extra 5 million damage you always knew your build had in it, whatever. Or it can just be a comfy thing, like this. Like, this is just a comfy build. Comfy shards. Like, I could have some of the newer shards that deal with Toxin, which could be insane, given how I could try and build her. But I like the comfy build. It makes it really easy to run in the Steel Path. I've taken Saren to do most missions in the star chart, both in Steel Path and without. I've run up to where the enemies are getting up to level 1500 or so in Duviri on the Steel Path. Just I like the build. It's cool. Enough said. Anyway, so that's the basics of the Helminth, the two systems. It's really, again, it's not necessarily a beginner thing, but it exists, and people might have questions. And it is a nice way to kind of tool your builds. Some Warframes have abilities that are not quite so good, or don't seem useful, or you don't use them. So it makes sense if you can replace them with something that you would use more to kind of turn your build up more. So that's pretty much it on the Helminth. Yeah. So, like I said, hope that helps someone. And everybody just have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.